All right. So, if someone had no idea what environmental biotechnology is, how would you explain what you do and what it is in a few sentences?
Environmental biotechnology is a rather simple concept. We form partnerships with communities of microorganisms. The microorganisms carry out metabolic reactions that improve the sustainability of human society. And in return, we provide them with a really good microorganism life. We just help them do what they want to do, and it benefits us too through things like biodegrading pollutants, generating renewable resources, and even improving our health.
So, you've published over 850 papers and you've won the Stockholm Water Prize. Was there one specific moment early on that made you think that microbial communities were the answer?
Probably there wasn't one single moment on this. One grows in knowledge of microorganisms and what they can do. But I'll be clear that what really was very important to me early on was that I was able to work with Professor Perry McCarty when I did my PhD at Stanford. He was the person who laid the foundation for everything that we do now. I was lucky to be able to work with him. He had vision decades ahead of everybody else, vision as to how microbial systems work and how we can understand that and then use that information to design programs. Now, what's happened subsequently is that the tool that we have to understand microbial communities have increased exponentially. We have all these tools now from molecular biology, things that didn't exist when I was a student. Now we can understand who are the microorganisms and what they can do and what they're doing and how they do it and how they work together. This has been a revelation, a scope of what we can do to understand and therefore manage the communities has grown tremendously over my professional career. That's why I say it isn't one moment, it's just accumulation of tools that we do. You don't appreciate this one. The challenges that we want our microorganisms to address have grown tremendously. I mean, all the things that I deal with now on a routine basis weren't even thought of as issues back when I was a student. Things like PFAS and chlorinated solvents and global climate change. None of those things were on the table then. So the plate is more full of things we need to do and work with the microorganisms to do it.
All right. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about using microbes to clean water or generate energy?
Okay, well, the biggest misconception is that people are worried about pathogenic microorganisms, the bad guys. And there are the bad guys out there. We don't want typhoid and cholera and those things. So there are pathogenic microorganisms that we want to avoid. Uh, but they get a lot of attention because no one wants to get sick or die, epidemic or whatever. But most microorganisms are doing the good business of making the earth work, whether it's natural environment or whether it's in our engineered environmental biotechnology. So people have to understand that it's not just bad guys, it's mostly good guys, and we want to work with the good guys and we the bad guys away.
All right. Can you give me one discovery from your research, a number, a place, a name that you really think people need to care and know about?
What we're working on now is a very contemporary topic, and the contemporary challenge is the PFAS, the perfluorinated compounds, the so-called forever compounds. And they're called forever compounds because it's very hard to break these carbon fluoride bonds, and they persist and they bioaccumulate, and everybody has PFAS in his or her body now that we don't yet recognize. They're called the forever compounds because they don't naturally break down easily. If you give microorganisms some help, they can actually biodegrade these PFAS molecules. We have to get them started. The problem with PFAS and biodegradation is it's hard for the microorganisms to get started. Why is this? Well, so a perfluorinated compound is a long chain, carbon chain that has carbon fluorine bonds at every position. So it's covered with carbon fluorine bonds. This is a problem in two ways. Number one, the carbon fluorine bond is very strong, very hard to break. But two, because you're covering the entire molecule with these fluorines, the microorganisms or enzyme just can't even get to the molecule. It's like a protective shield around it. So what we want to do is get rid of some of these fluorine molecules, knock them off by a chemical catalytic method that we've developed. And then the molecule becomes biodegradable and the microorganisms will finish the job. So this is what we're working on right now. It's a combination of what we call nanoparticle catalysis with then the microbiological catalysis or biodegradation.
Who or what do you think is most responsible for the global water crisis right now?
First of all, we have a lot of different facets of the global water crisis.
Yeah.
You've got too little water, but then you've got too much water because you get flooding, but you get drought. So those are quantity issues. And this is a mismatch of the water availability with the water demands on it. And I live here in Arizona, and it's the desert and it's arid, and we rely on the Colorado River for a fair fraction of the water. And well, the Colorado River doesn't have enough water in it to supply all the demands. It's going to get worse. There is a mismatch of our expectations versus the physical reality of how much water is coming down the river. That's a quantity thing. And then the other one is the water quality. These two issues are related because as you start to stress the convenient, high quality water sources, then you're forced to use impaired sources, things that aren't so easily made into what we need for drinking or industry or agriculture. We're forced to use impaired waters, and some of them are naturally impaired. Around here in Arizona, the groundwater is sort of naturally salty. That's because it used to be an ocean here. The underground water is kind of salty and has arsenic in it. Those are naturally occurring things. Plus, we contaminate it through our activities. Chlorinated solvents, PFAS molecules, nitrate, things like that are used in agriculture and industry. They leak out, they get used improperly, and they get into the water supply, creating other challenges. We're forced to use more impaired waters, and we're also impairing the waters more. It's a tough situation, but that's what environmental engineers do, is try to find ways to take impaired waters and make them useful for drinking or industry or agriculture.
What do you think is the most important thing happening in environmental biotechnology that's not getting enough attention?
In environmental biotechnology, historically, we've been dealing with cleaning up pollution, degrading pollutants. We still do that. It's still important, but the new frontier is creating value, getting microorganisms to take something we might call a pollutant or waste product and turning it into value. I'll give you two examples where we work on both of them. One is carbon dioxide. If you have a stream of carbon dioxide, say from a combustion source, if we capture it from the air, that carbon dioxide can be converted into valuable organic chemicals used in industries of all kinds. Instead of using these same chemicals from fossil fuel sources, we can create renewable non-fossil sources of organic feedstock by getting microorganisms to capture and convert the CO2, convert that into something of value. You help out on an environmental problem, we create economic value at the same time. So it's a good deal. That's number one. And the second one, waste from mining related operations, the mining itself, or processing, even recycling. There are waters from those processes that contain metals that, if they're put out in the environment, they're dangerous to organisms in the environment, dangerous to us if it gets to us. We can get microbial systems to recover those as valuable metals that we can recycle. Again, creates circular economy, creates value while also protecting the environment and us.
So, adding onto your prior answer, if nothing changes in how we treat and reuse water, what is going to happen in 10 years or 20 years' time?
Oh, the convergence of the environmental and economic pressures will lead to the development of these kind of technologies. And it's really the convergence of environmental and economic pressures Just one of it by itself might not be enough. These days, in my work, I do a lot of stressing of the economic value of what our microorganisms can produce. And everybody wants to make some money. Why not? I like to make some money. And we might as well make some money out of doing something good. So I think that that's where it's going to go. If it doesn't go that way, we're going to have a lot of troubles. The biggest threat overall, and this is the global threat, is a global climate change. It's happening even faster than the scientific experts have predicted, and we can see it. It's only going to get worse faster. We really need to do things, and if we can take CO2 out of the atmosphere, the value of it, wow, that really is going to have the big double benefit.
So, on a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being the most, how urgent is the global water situation right now, and why that particular number?
Yeah, it's probably about a 4. And I'd make it a 5, except that it's not everywhere. There are some places where it's not a problem. I'm going to connect this to my previous answer, because one of the issues with global climate change is its impact on water supply. And what we're going to find, we are finding already, and we're going to see more of it, is more extremes. I'm talking about extremes of either drought or flooding. Those are the two opposite extremes of severe water quantity problems. Societies can't exist with long-term drought or very persistent flooding. I think that's what's going to hit us before anything else. Is there are going to be so many places in the world where it's going to become almost inhabitable because of either drought or flooding. I think that's going to be that's the first thing. There'll be other problems, but that's going to hit us big time first.
So, who is one scientist we should interview after? Who do you think the next person I should interview?
Oh, I'm going to tell you somebody who's a real leader in the field, works in things that are related to what I do, but differently. And he'd be a good interviewee. Professor Pedro Alvarez from Rice University. He's a world leader in what he does. Some of it connects with what I do, and others with his own thing. He's a very smart guy, speaks well, has an
Okay.
interesting background.
I got one more question. If every teenager on Earth had to hear one last sentence from you, what would it be?
Listen to me now, or it's too late. Okay. Never forget, your best friends are your microbes.
That's a
Yeah,
good phrase.
yeah, it is true. They're mostly all our friends, and we rely on. One thing, areas that we study, we haven't talked about now, is all the microorganisms that inhabit us, particularly in our intestines. That's one of our research areas.
Okay.
And they have a profound impact on our health. And so those are our personal microorganisms, mostly hope good guys. So yeah, so I have a very personal relationship with those microorganisms in my intestines.
I was thinking about something. One extra question that I had is
As I noticed.
if someone my age wanted to get involved with the kind of work that you do, what would you think the first steps should be?
What I work in, it's very interdisciplinary. There are a lot of different paths to get here. You can, well, I went through environmental engineering as an academic plan. That's still a really good one. But we have microbiologists, we have chemists, chemical engineers. It's very interdisciplinary and it's a very open field. We accept people with a lot of different backgrounds because we need people from a lot of different backgrounds. So you shouldn't feel like at age 18, you got to make some perfect choice. You can't ever change it or build off of it if you can. There are other angles. We have our daughter started off as a math major, environmental engineer.
Right.
We're very open-minded people.
All right. That's really all I have for you. If you have
All
any
right.
feedback for me or the process or anything.
Oh, that was good. Good questions. I enjoyed it.